Hi and greetings. Welcome back again to this Empowering Careers with Learning and Development Insights, the L&D Playbook, brought to you by HR Success Talk. And today we are into the sixth video of this video series. And today's topic is on the pre and post of the learning intervention. So just would like to give you a quick heads up. This video is going to be a bit stretched one as compared to the previous one because this is going to be, covering the very important and the crucial aspect on the post of the learning intervention, because this is where the real outcomes of the training intervention are being monitored. Management has a key eye on this aspect because management has invested some amount of financials, and the efforts of the organization has gone into that. So this is where the whole importance of this particular topic lies, and would like your careful attention during this course of discussion. So let's get started with the pre-intervention planning. A lot of things has already been discussed in the previous videos, but as a part of this topic, I would just like to quickly recapture few of the important points. So understanding the business needs and learning objectives, which we had already discussed much in length about the aligning learning objectives with the business goals, engaging stakeholders to identify key skills and the competencies required. These are the very crucial things which has discussed time and again during this video series. Audience analysis about specifically identifying the target participants and assess their current skill levels. This is where you as an L&D function, you always keep a tab on the gaps between the current skill set and the demand of the business requirement. And you consider the learning styles, the potential barriers, how the people adopt to the different learning modalities. A lot of people may be comfortable with online or the offline mode or the one-to-one discussion or the functional requirements versus the behavior competencies. So these are the couple of things which, on which you as L&D people will always, keep on analyzing, assessing the individuals, and based on that, you keep on, designing the solutions on the learning part. When it comes to designing the learning journey, you choose the right instruction model. We discussed about this 70-20-10 model in the last video. Blending the learning methods, instructor-led, e-learning, coaching, experiential learning. We discussed about all these things. I'm just quickly recapturing these important points because these are the very salient, important features of your day-to-day activities. Logistics and engagement strategies. Obviously, you are ensuring the smooth execution, the venue, the technology, the print material, and the pre-learning engagements, pre-reads, assessment, expectation setting. Expectation setting is a very important thing, which I'd just like to take few seconds out of this discussion. In the sense that people are most of the times I've seen, that we also go for learning, intervention, and then most of the times participants are not aware of the topic or the agenda or the whole discussion. Or if they are just told at the top level that, okay, there's going to be 1 or 2 day training on this leadership or this functional thing or a behavioral aspect, but they don't get the real the topics on which they can have, they can prepare some, go through some pre-read material on the internet, frame some questions in their mind to be asked during the intervention. So it's always good that if participants are clearly made aware of what they are going to expect in the training intervention. Then quickly on the execution phase, that you are creating an engaging and psychologically safe learning environment in terms of what are the premises in which the training is conducted. Most of the time, generally, if the logistics allow conveniently, I will personally recommend to have the training sessions outside the office, because generally within the office premises, the environment always keeps on hanging on the people. When people go outside the office, they are more in the free state of mind to absorb the learning in a much beautiful manner. But again, as I mentioned, it's more about the logistics things. If there could be some situations whereby the extra or the outside office arrangement is not possible, or maybe because of the cost impact or the travel related matter is there. And if the office has a proper dedicated learning space whereby they cannot be distracted, then it's also quite good. And obviously mentioned about the logistics arrangement. There are small things about the flip chart, the markers, the notebooks, the pens, the tea and coffee in between, the lunch availability for the participants or the trainer. These are the small things, and the trainer coming from different location. Then the trainer should feel comfortable in reaching to the office and going back to his place. These are small things, but they are very important. They seem to be very trivial in nature, but eventually these things become very handy. And when you close any smallest of the loop in terms of the advanced communication, the travel arrangement, the logistics arrangement, and all these things, it creates a very deeper positive impression and the impact both on the participants and to the trainer as well. So please bear in mind, things may appear to be trivial, but these are very essential. Facilitator's role, encouraging participation and ensuring practical application. So that is where this always goes without saying, is that people should take every training very seriously. They should be prepared well beforehand, that they should not be distracted. They should focus on the training. They should participate, keep on asking questions, engage in the conversation, relate with the day-to-day, working of their environment with the training imparted. This is where, as an L&D manager, you should keep on interacting with the participants, and they should, encourage them. Real-time feedback mechanisms on the polls, quizzes, and discussion will come on these things as well. But yes, during the execution phase also, so suppose a full day training is there. So after the first half, after the, during the lunch break, you can interact with the participant at how the things are going on. They provide some feedback if they are finding some situation in which they are not comfortable with the trainer, or probably trainer is doing the best, but there is some gap in the understanding in the terms of expectations or the agenda of the training. That needs to also be communicated during the training also, so that the overall by the end of the training intervention, things should fall in line with the expectations. So as I discussed in the maybe in the second last videos, probably that we'll be discussing more about the Kirkpatrick's model of training evaluation. And this is about the post training. And Kirkpatrick's model is one of the most widely used framework for evaluating the effectiveness of the training program. It consists of 4 different levels, each measuring different aspects of the training impact. So let's level by level have a thorough discussion about what Kirkpatrick's model is all about. It encompasses the entire framework of the post-training journey or the post-training evaluation. Level 1, which is about the reaction, which is about the immediate feedback. So immediately when after the training is over, what is the reaction? What is the overall feedback or the immediate feedback in terms of after the training has been conducted? So what is the objective? It measures the participant's initial response to the training. As goes without saying, it's quite self-evident about this objective. What are the key questions needs to be asked? That did employees find the training useful and engaging? Was the content relevant to their job roles, even if it is functional or the behavioral? How satisfied were they with the training materials, trainer, and delivery? Now, especially in this third particular question, it may sometimes happen that people are very junior in nature. They may not have assimilated the training to its fullest degree, or the intent with what the trainer is conducting the training. So many times, because of the juniority and immaturity of the participants, sometimes they are not able to provide the right feedback. But yes, people at the middle level to the senior level, they obviously, collectively, they provide the right feedback in a beautiful manner, in a concrete manner. And for the junior level of the people also, we need to dig in more questions about the relevancy of the training material in terms of how they find it useful in terms of their day-to-day applications, and how effectively they can seamlessly understand the content. So that is where you as an L&D person can run through a questionnaire or a feedback form. And so how we measure it, post-training surveys and the feedback forms I just mentioned. So there are a lot of feedback forms which are available. You guys must be having the repository of it. Internet is anyway flooded with a lot of feedback forms. You can pluck it out based on your organizational requirement. You can tweak in through those feedback forms and make it more relevant to your organization and the training which has been conducted. Then you can conduct some interviews or focus groups for qualitative insights in terms of that, post training, maybe within 24 hours, you have one-to-one discussion or as a group discussion that how the training went by, what are the insights which they have captured, can they make certain notes out of it? So, and participants can actually, share their insights as a three-pointer, top three key takeaways, top five key takeaways, how they're going to implement it, and share it with the L&D or HR people, and also share the copy with their line managers so that people are aware that yes, what they learned, what they are committed to learning. And this is where you actually measure the effectivity of the training in an immediate manner. NPS, you guys must already be aware of, is to gauge training satisfaction, and you can run through the NPS surveys. So just for the sake of example, that after a leadership training workshop, participants complete a survey rating the usefulness of the content and trainer's effectiveness. Now, this is from the perspective of the first level, that how you measure the effectivity of the training as an immediate reaction. But this is just an immediate reaction. A lot of water needs to be flown down the bridge as we move further. The second is the level about the learning, the knowledge and the skill acquisition. So what is the objective here? Objective is very clear, is about the to assess whether employees gain new knowledge, skills, or improved their attitudes. So, it's quite evident. The objective is very clear in terms of the English language. What are the key questions which you are going to ask to them? Did participants acquire the intended knowledge or skills? So again, as mentioned in the last slide, we can conduct focus group discussion and one-to-one interviews with them that about taking the feedback and getting. So you as an L&D person needs to be more more peeping in and asking the very enticing or very particular question about specific learning and how they are going to implement it, how they are correlating with their day-to-day activities, how they correlate from their future growth perspective. And that is where particularly these questions needs to be drilled down so that you guys get a hang of the training effectiveness. Can they demonstrate their learning in a controlled environment? So can there be some role play which they can do internally, so when you ask these questions, participants will be able to respond in a much better way, and from their response, you can gauge the effectivity of the training. How do you measure it? Pre and post training assessments like quizzes, case studies, which you can invoke upon. So you can pull down some quizzes, get over the period of time, get the participants participate into those quizzes. Maybe just a quick online poll or some quick 3-4 questionnaire they can you can share across on the WhatsApp group or maybe on the emails, and maybe you can call upon some session just for 15 to 20 minutes of a quick recap using some particular case study. As I already mentioned about the role play exercises or simulations, peer reviews and trainer evaluation. So trainer can also provide the feedback, so you can run through some questionnaire. So if it is for a smaller group, so I always recommend that whenever there is a classroom-based session or interaction, should not be more than 10 to 12 participants, because that is where the trainer can actually effectively evaluate each and every participants, can answer the queries coming from different people, and pay more heed and attention to the individual participants. More than 12 participants is generally a crowd. And then it's more of a school teacher type of engagement where 20, 25, 30, 40 batches of students are there in a class, and the teacher doesn't even get to know that how many students are actually learning. So that is where the trainer evaluations becomes very effective, because that is where when trainer has that bandwidth to actually know about each and every person when there are lesser number of candidates, and trainer can provide more detailed feedback and evaluation about the individual participants. So just for a quick example, that a group of project managers attend a program management training. So before training, they can take a test on best practices. And after training, they take a similar test to measure the improvement. So normally, as we have also done, we run through a Google sheet or a Google form of a questionnaire. which is getting as a URL gets circulated on the WhatsApp to all the participants. They fill up those questions, and online in an online mode, trainer immediately get to know the feedback that where the people or where the participants stand in their knowledge before the training. And then the similar set of the questions is run post training, and then there is a pre and post assessment can be done immediately in terms of their learning enhancement during the training. So this is how the learning can be measured, or the skill which has been acquired. And so these are this couple of the methods which you can utilize to understand the effectiveness of the training in terms of the knowledge imparted. Third crucial important aspect is about the behavior, because eventually every training every training intervention which has been done, it is intended with some behavioral change or a competency enhancement change, or the application in the workplace which gets measured over the period of time. How it is done, that the objective is to determine if the employees apply their learning on the job. What are the key questions? Are employees using new skills in their day-to-day work? Has their behavior changed as a result of the training? Are they able to solve problems differently or more efficiently? These are the very key important questions which every management will obviously ask to the participants or to their line managers, or you as an L&D or the HR head, that if this investment has been done on the training, the effort has been put on. These are the three important questions which every management will be asking. And I will strongly recommend that you as an L&D person, you should also inform about these questions to the participants also, that they should also be asking these questions to themselves. Also, they should be aware that yes, over the period of time, their management will also be asking them these questions. So they should be very alerted in their minds that they have to take these trainings on a very serious note. They will be subjected to these questions, and the people who are actually tempted for their own self-learning, they should be actually more inclined to ask these questions on their own before somebody else asks them. How do you measure these questions, the answer of these questions? Managers, feedback, and performance and reviews. So obviously you're going to interact with their manager, immediate supervisor. What is their feedback about the performance? Has that performance been improvised over the period of time? Are they really exhibiting in their traits on all those functional and the behavioral skills which has been imparted during the training? On the job observations, so obviously it goes without saying that yes, people keep on observing that how they are faring in their day-to-day task. Employee self-assessment on changes in their work approach. So it's very important to inculcate the habit of self-assessment of the employee than actually superimposing these questions from outside world. As I mentioned that yes, people should be alerted that yes, they will be subjected to these questions, but it will be having the more gravity will be there when employees are themselves sensitized about these questions. That are they really finding impact or changes in them into their day-to-day behavior after they have gone through the training. So this is where keep on asking the employees as well that how they find that they are exhibiting those traits after the training. 360-degree feedback, as I had already discussed in the quite initial videos, is one of the very important tool which you can use. So, when we run a leadership development program for say around 6 months of a journey-based solution, we always start with 360-degree and we always conclude with the repeat 360-degree. And that is where in a very statistical manner, we get to know where the candidate or the participant it was standing in terms of the different winning behaviors of the 360-degree report, where the 10 to 12, 15 people have jointly rated that person. And when the same people repeat this activity after say around 6 months of time, collectively we can very clearly see that yes, there has been a tangible change or not. If the training has been really conducting in a well-designed manner and the required manner, and organization has provided that ecosystem to nurture those training, to nurture that effectiveness and the implementation of that training, and people have actually implemented those trainings on ground. Obviously, then there will be remarkable change, and we have witnessed all these things during the pre and the post 360-degree feedback. So 360-degree feedback, as you already know, it's a collective input which is being provided by the colleagues, subordinates, management, and also the self. So just for the sake of example, like a sales team undergoes negotiation training program, and a few weeks later, their manager evaluates how often they apply negotiation strategies in client meetings. So during the client meetings, we get to know that how the negotiation tactics has been applied, and it showcases in the result. And finally, as the next level of that, yes, eventually it's the results what matter. After all said and done of all the activities, all the efforts which has gone, what is the business impact and the ROI, which not even as the top management, but also you as an L&D manager should also focus upon. So clearly the objective here is that to measure the impact of training on the business outcomes. What are key questions here again? Has the training led to measurable business improvements? What are the financial or productivity gains resulting from the training? Did it contribute to company goals, higher revenue or better customer satisfaction, reduced errors, improved retention? It goes without saying, these three questions are very, very self-evident. Every, training head, HR manager, HR head, or the business head, or the CEO, or any stakeholder who is responsible for the P&L of the organization, responsible for the department productivity, will obviously ask these questions. So how do you measure these things? Performance metrics before and after training, like sales growth, error reduction, or even 360-degree report to some extent, yes, provides a tangible statistical output in terms of the people's behavior. And those behavior lead to the improved customer satisfaction index, or the revenue growth, or the profitability index, or the service level metrics which you have signed. So whatever the SLAs outcomes are there, along which you have signed with the customer. So all these the metrics represents the outcome of the performance metrics before and after the training. Productivity improvements, as we have already mentioned, and especially, yes, cost savings from the reduced mistakes or inefficiencies. So cost savings are a very crucial factor which should be reflective in the overall results post the training. Employee retention rates engagement surveys. So this is again a very important thing, because post training, if people are really found the value addition in their day-to-day performance, they feel motivated, they feel empowered, and they are more inspired to obtain the next level of their trainings for their own personal growth and the professional growth. Because eventually, every employee is looking for salary on a monthly basis, promotion, salary increments. So these are the very important aspects. But over the period of time, every person is a human being, and they are looking for more than the physical set of these aspects of the personal level of growth, about the mental and the emotional engagement. And people pay a great deal of their satisfaction to the mental and the emotional engagement with their work, with the management, and that is where people look for the long-term stay with the organization, where they feel at home, that they're coming out of the one home and going to another home, to the office. So that is where the employee retention rates actually talk about, and their engagement surveys talk about, how much those trainings are really effective and impactful. So just for the sake of another quoting an example, that a company implements leadership training for mid-level managers. 6 months later, they measure improvements in employee engagement scores, team productivity, and retention rates. And this is how, over the period of time, it gets nurtured, it gets cultivated, it gets measured, and then over the period of time we get to know the impact of the training. I would just like to quickly mention one important thing. We as a corporate trainer, as a leadership coach, we get subjected to these kind of queries sometimes coming from the management about the ROI after the training, and that is where we clearly mention to the management or the HR heads. They also know, by the way, but yes, it's still important to mention that it just cannot happen that just the training has been conducted immediately and you start immediately expecting ROI, because it is more about the behavioral change, even for the functional thing, right? people take time to overall implement, because we are human beings, we are not robots. Everybody has its own grasping power, implementation style, and producing the result out of it. Just to quickly touch upon another thing in this, we expect people coming from top notch institutes. So if I talk about the engineering people, organization want, yes, the top notch institutes like IITs, they go and hire the people. But just after completing 4-year BTech, and the fresher coming out of that, you cannot immediately expect that person to be a top-notch engineer or an experience, because experience takes time to get cultivated over the period of time. Similarly, a fresh graduate coming from the top-notch MBA institutes like IIMs or the ISBs of the world, you cannot expect the fresher coming out of IIMs to be qualified for a CEO just coming out of that after the institute. It takes time, it takes years of experience to build upon that personality. Why we hire from those institutes? Because they have those kind of the analytical aptitude, the kind of the maturity index. So a lot of those things, and obviously these institutes offer that kind of education so that they get prepared to the growth for the growth. But the growth takes time; it comes through experience. Similarly, just after completing a 6 months of a leadership journey program, or just a 2 days functional training, intervention, you cannot expect the immediate ROI. So please be very wary about this fact. It takes time. It takes, we as a trainer also sometimes ask the organization that we have beautifully conducted the training, but if there is no output, we would like to, in fact, answer or question you that how the organization has provided the ecosystem to nurture those trainings. How the management has geared up that whatever the training pointers which has been covered, many times I get to know about the trainers providing the feedback that yes, they have conducted some functional training. They brought about some best industry practice and they taught in the training. But if that best industry practices needs to be implemented by the management, and that ecosystem needs to be provided that best practice calls for some additional investment, whether organization is undertaking that investment or not. Many a times that best practice actually exposes a couple of senior level of the people of the organization because they have been malfunctioning or they have not been very serious about those best practices. And that is where employee at the ground level or the people who have been subjected to the training, they feel frustrated about it because they have gone through the training, but eventually when they go back to their field, they don't find management support to implement those best practices. And that is where, my call for the management to focus on ecosystem being provided to the participants so that they can actually implement all the pointers in their organization. And that is where it takes time for the results to be produced. So please don't ask trainers about immediately after the training what is the ROI. It takes time, it takes nurturing, it takes a lot of efforts post training. So it goes both ways, from the management side as well and from the participant side as well. And you as an L&D manager needs to bridge the gap. So just quickly summarizing on this post-intervention follow-up, reinforcement and application ensure learning transfer through real-world applications. Please keep on providing, as I mentioned, about nurturing and providing that ecosystem. Provide toolkits, job aids, resources for continuous learning. Please keep on organizing the recap of the sessions. Once in my last organization, we have gone through some training. The management actually intervened. They provided the opportunity to every participant to pick up one aspect of the training, and whatever they have learned, they need to share with the other people or the people who have not gone through the training. And that is where people get to hone their presentation skills as well, recapture the learnings, share with other people, so the other people also get to know the training. So you as an L&D manager, please ensure that you can keep on organizing these internal workshops, quick recap, group meetings and discussions about these training programs, so that there's a buzz always keeps on going on for the learning and development within the organization. Manager and peer level of the involvement. I mentioned quite a lot about these things. Encourage leadership support in tracking application. peer coaching or buddy system for sustained learning. Always, the buddy system is a great phenomena that one person from one department is being made the buddy to another person or another department. And they keep on uh, uh, held hold each self accountable for their learning and the implementation what they have learned. Measuring the impact and ROI, as I mentioned already about detail about the Kirkpatrick's model and the reaction, learning, behavior, and results. Business impact assessment through productivity, retention, performance metrics. Continuous improvement, gather feedback for refinement, adopt interventions for evolving business needs. Now, this is very quickly a final summarizing pointers of the post intervention follow-up. Already in detail, we have learned about the reaction, learning, behavior, and results. Please keep this Kirkpatrick's model in place. And as I've already mentioned about, post-evaluation and post-implementation is all about nurturing, providing the ecosystem to the people. And that is where the real flavor and the real outcome of the training and learning will actually come out. And people will also, all the participants will actually pay very close attention, and they will take every training very seriously because they know that the organization is very particular about the post implementation of the L&D interventions. So that's about by today's video on the sixth video of the pre and the post intervention. And I really thank you for your patience during this course of discussion today, which has got a bit stressed. I very wholeheartedly I invite you to pose your questions, your queries. We'll be very happy to answer that, and looking forward to the concluding session in the next video. Thanks a lot.